Hello, what's up, everybody?
What is going on, everybody?
What's good? What's good? It's another lovely week,
Another lovely week.
and we're excited to be back again. I actually really love doing this. I could actually do this all my life.
Really?
I could.
Just be like is it a professional podcast? Well, I
Yeah,
guess
like
so,
the
yeah.
people that do
Yeah,
podcast
I know.
full time. Like, I could. I love the conversations. Maybe not the work behind it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work in the background.
Yeah. But I love it, and of course it's an exciting time of the year. The year's coming to an end. I'm quite excited.
Because it's gonna be your birthday, I know.
Well, yeah.
I'm excited about your birthday as well, because obviously we've got
I've
plans.
got plans.
Hey, come on, man.
Tell me, what are you gonna do?
No, I'm not gonna tell you. No, I never.
I don't even like surprises in the first place.
Yeah, well, no. Because last
I
time.
don't like surprises.
No, don't tell me that.
Okay, okay.
Ever
cool.
since that last time.
Okay, no. It's not that I don't like surprises. Usually when I'm surprised, I clock on quick, so then it doesn't like surprise me. But last year you surprised me.
No, that's not the reason why I stopped surprising you. There was one reason why I stopped surprising you, which was
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Because I always force you to tell me what it is.
no,
And then,
it wasn't even that. Yes,
no, because I force you to tell me what it is, and then when you tell me, then I'm like, oh, that would have been a cute surprise. You shouldn't have told me.
yeah, exactly. So I just, you know,
Yeah.
I prefer not to tell you if
fair
anything.
point.
But yeah, we'll just leave it as that. But
Yeah.
we have another interesting topic for you. But I've got a question for you before
Shoot.
we get into it, right?
Okay.
You know that we've had, how many dates did we have before we got married? We had
Dates.
we had 2 dates.
You mean like official dates?
Or 2.5 dates, yeah.
Hey, which one is the half?
We had 2.5 dates.
Wait, which one is the half?
So the half was the one that we went away with my family.
We went away with your family.
Yeah. Before the proposal, the day of the proposal.
Oh, like the short trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't count that as a date.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, half. Like we went with everyone else, but
Yeah,
we spent
yeah.
most of the day together.
Yeah.
So, like,
Okay,
we
yeah,
went
cool.
by the pool
Fair
and
point.
everything,
Yeah,
playing
fair
music,
point.
we were sitting by the
Fair
thing.
point.
Yeah.
That was really cute.
We ate
Yeah,
together
yeah.
and everything. I've
Fair
still got the
point.
pictures for that day as well.
Yeah, fair point.
But yeah, so that was like the half. Do you remember the other two?
I remember the first date, the very first
First date
date.
is very easy.
Yeah.
Because I speak about it
But
all the time.
I don't remember the second one.
You don't remember the second one? I knew you
No.
remember it. I had a feeling you wouldn't.
I don't remember.
Think a little bit longer, would you?
I actually won't remember.
The beach.
The beach.
Yeah.
You took me to the beach.
We went to the beach.
Oh yes,
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
Now I remember we did. Did we go by ourselves?
We went by ourselves. It was just us.
Oh my gosh, yes we did.
We went to the beach. Remember you bought your hat?
I remember that, and we did like these cute little videos
Yeah, I still got
together. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, we did go to the beach together.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, I was
Anyway.
that was my question, by the way. So,
Okay.
have you ever had a really bad date? Have you ever had like a really bad date?
I don't know if I can say this.
You don't have to mention names or anything like that.
Listen, my life is very simple. My life is very simple and straightforward. Can we just move on?
Have you had a really bad one? My
A day, you can give examples because
I
you've
can
had
give-
like situationships and stuff. Like
my
I didn't see a lot of people before getting married. Like I had just like 2 serious relationships.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be with someone you had a relationship with. It could have been someone, because my one wasn't with
No,
someone
but
I
I
had a
was
relationship
that
with.
girl. Like I didn't go anywhere. I think I've told you this.
Yeah,
I
fair
didn't
enough.
go anywhere.
My one was
So
someone that
there's no reason
was-
why I'll go out with
mine
someone.
was even someone that I was considering, but because of the date, I just no
What happened?
bad breath.
Oh no.
Yeah,
No.
throughout the whole time.
I'm sorry.
I
No.
couldn't look in your face or anything.
And it's
like
not
that.
even good for a girl, you know.
It was.
That's even much worse.
Yeah. After that, we just became prayer partners.
Not the prayer partner. No,
yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah, no, it was. And it was
It could have
like
been just that day, you know, or was it? Anyway, let's not get into it.
it could have been that day, but I think that it just put me off.
Yeah,
everything else kind of
yeah,
thing.
that's not attractive. For
Yeah,
women.
no. For especially for a first date, you would have thought, like, at
Yeah,
least,
come correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it was and you know what? I think what it was that I wasn't 100% sold,
you just like.
but I thought,
testing it
let's
out.
go on a date and just see,
That was your sign.
and that was like,
That's That's how he said,
I was kind of saying that, yeah, okay, yeah, no, forget it. I tried. It's like no one can tell me I didn't try. But yeah, anyway. We're talking today about what?
Marriage and mental health.
Marriage and mental health.
Or relationships and mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I feel like is really important to note is that when I'm counseling people in church and we're talking to people in church and they've been going through some stuff and they're just talking about the difficulties and some of the things that they're going through, it's mostly one of 2 or 3 different things. The first one would be to do with parents.
Okay.
They're not getting along with their parents. That one we hear quite a lot. The second one is in terms of job and making progress in their lives. Like, look, I've been looking for jobs for a long time, Pastor. I don't know what's in it. And the most likely one, especially for the ladies,
most common,
is, you know, they were dating someone and they broke up.
And
it just puts them in
it's
such
almost
a
like
bad place.
that's true.
Those are the main 3. I don't know if there's any other ones that you can think of.
No, those are the main ones. Those are the main ones. And I think in the aspect of relationships and even just like even just our walk with God and stuff like that, I think when it comes to the subject of mental health, which you've done a very great job with preaching in church and talking about that, you know, in terms of the mental health, I think it's just one of those things that we just like push to the side because no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to look like they're the one that's been oppressed by a demon and they're depressed and they're having like suicidal thoughts.
Yeah,
and, like,
when you have bad mental health, I think like there's this mindset, especially in the African church community, where it's like it makes you very unspiritual. Yeah,
it's like, you know, but even like a typical African background, it's like, how can you be depressed? Like, it's almost like it's a taboo. Like,
exactly,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's almost like, why, how can you feel the way you're feeling? Like, it's, and I get it from the biblical perspective because God desires for us to have like wholeness altogether.
Peace of mind or everything.
Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that people actually do encounter these things. And I think we need to create a very safe environment for people to talk about it. Even in relationships and marriages. Like, I would think, I mean, you can confirm, but I think we've created such a good safe space where we can express ourselves when everything is not working. Like, there have been times that I've vocally said to you, like, I'm struggling mentally. Like, I've vocally said to you, and like my literal words have been, I'm struggling mentally. And I can confidently come to you and say that because you've created that safe space for me and you don't look at me with like a judgmental eye, like, what are you going through? I mean, I think I remember there was a time that I said something and you were like, no, we're not going to entertain this rubbish. Like, just hush it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. And you were like, no, we're going to. And for me, I was like, oh, I was thinking, you know, you'd like, you know,
cradle it or comfort.
Yeah, cradle me and like, just like, you know, make me feel a bit, not like good about it, but like, oh, I understand. And you just called it out quick and said, you know what? We're not going to entertain that mood.
I mean, there's a time for both. So you just got to know the right time when to do one or the other. There's a time where you can say, okay, cool, like, let's take it easy, let's go on a trip, let's do something to like clear our minds. But then there's other times where it's clearly like demonic. It's like demonic attacks, like something's trying to get you down and they're trying to use things that are around you. How to tell the difference is the tricky part. If you're cradling the devil, that's cradling the devil, that's when it's just like,
and you're just entertaining that spirit.
Just entertaining
to, like,
it
hover in your home or in your relationship
you're dealing with the fruits, but not dealing with the roots.
And I think like it was very clear at that point. It was just very clear that it was such a spiritual attack. And I told you, I think I was like, I feel like my mind is being attacked. And when I said it, even though I knew that my mind was being attacked, I didn't expect the reaction, but that reaction made me wake up quickly. I was like, hey, Kukwa, you can't sit down and be thinking and entertaining these thoughts. You need to pick yourself up real quickly. So we did that, and I really appreciated you for that. And I think it's just because we had created that safe space for each other where we can openly express ourselves. But I'm actually wondering like how we got to this point. I think obviously the first thing is that we've been very open with our communication. So we know that we can talk about anything. And the other thing for me is that I know that like you've never judged me never. Like you've
not openly.
Come again?
Not out loud. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
You've never judged me, like, and you've never put it in my face to make me feel a certain type of way about my mental state of being especially when it's poor. You've always been very, very supportive, mainly by giving me a listening ear. Because I think the biggest challenge when you're struggling mentally, the first thing is having someone to talk to.
Yeah, it's output. When you have a lot of input but no output.
Yeah.
When you're going through a lot of things and you don't know where to, and you know what? Sometimes people always say, pray to God. You know, like you know, pray to God, lay it out, give it all to God, and God will help you, and all of those other things. But really, sometimes you need someone.
I think God never, God said it wasn't good for man to be alone.
Exactly.
So I think God is very big on companionship, and he's very big on community and fellowship with each other. So it's very, if you ask me, it's very spiritually unwise to go through like challenges and struggle with your mental health and feel like the only person you can talk to is God. Yes, you can talk to God, but God puts people around us. He gives us people who can support us and, pour into us and encourage us when we're feeling down and low. So I'll definitely encourage, if like you feel like you don't have like any good community, and you know what, and that's why it's really important to like belong to a church.
Yeah.
Church is one of the, I know, like, no church is perfect, but it's one of the safest main places
that you can find someone,
that you can find good support. Yeah. That's if you don't have it with your family, because I think at the core of it is family.
Yeah.
But if you don't have it for your family, then your church community can be a brilliant way. I really love our church space where, we have, like, there are times that we see people talking and I'm like, I didn't even know.
Yeah, when did they, like, I've gone to them,
friends.
I've gone to them and be like, yo, when did you guys have you guys, and they're talking like they've always known each other. I remember I went to one girl who was talking to another girl, and I'm like, oh, yo, how long have you been friends for? And they were like, no, we've just started talking now. And I was like, really? They were like, yeah.
Even when they're giving testimonies and be like, oh, I spoke to this person. And I'm like, oh, so
you guys talk.
It's such a beautiful thing. So I think definitely finding a church community helps you build some good friendships where you can be supported mentally and emotionally.
Yeah. But in terms of a relationship, you have to be able to talk to your partners. You have to be able to. Communication is key. If you're feeling some type of way, especially the guys, I know, like, it can be a burden, carrying a burden of the position that you're in at the moment. And sometimes, I'm not saying it's just for guys, because women carry a heavy burden to support the man as well, and to be there when he needs, and also have their own agenda and also have their own responsibilities as a woman as well. But I think, like, men have this kind of mindset of sometimes where it's like we don't speak about these things. Like, you have
why
to
is that strong. So anyway?
It's a thing that has been built. I mean, like, there is a certain limit that you can't just be overly emotional as a man. You have to have some kind of self-control over your emotions, some kind of self-control over your soul, in so that you can make wise decisions.
As the head,
as the head of the house,
to lead the family,
that you're not just leading out of control, emotions, and you have self-controlling. Even though you're upset, even though you're angry, you can say, okay, cool. How do we maneuver through this? You're not just speaking out of anger. You're not just doing things out of anger. So you must be able to control it somehow. But there is a certain limit. As a man, you should be able to speak to someone and say, yo, I'm struggling.
What is actually one of the main things that makes it, I get it, you've explained that part, but what does that practically look like in a relationship or in a marriage? Because for us, or personally, let me say for me, whilst we were getting better with the way we communicated, I remember getting to a point where I decided that I'm going to allow you to talk.
Yeah.
Because I realized when we were having conversations, especially if we're having a disagreement about something, I would just go on talking, and I don't give you a chance or a room to talk. And I realized it came back to me because I started thinking he doesn't even express himself. He doesn't say anything about the matter. But I noticed it's because I don't even give you the chance to talk.
Yeah.
So instead of doing the back and forth with you, because you've openly told me that sometimes it takes a while for you to process things and articulate it, whereas like I can just open my mouth and start articulating what I'm feeling emotionally. Like it takes you a while to process things and articulate it. And having that in mind, I always it was like a self-check. I'd always tell myself, you know what, if you're gonna talk, if you're gonna keep talking, you're not gonna hear from him. So sometimes I just intentionally shut up so that I can hear you speak and take the time to articulate what you want to say out of your emotions.
So I think one of the things that you allowing me to speak was one thing, but myself and taking the opportunity to speak is another.
You told me you decided at a point.
I had to decide at a certain point that I'm going to talk, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna express myself. I'm gonna let you know how I'm feeling. I'm gonna let you know how it feels, and when you said something, when you did something, when something happened around me, I'm gonna say something because there's gonna be an output whether you like it or not. And I'm deciding that it's gonna be in my home. Some people decide that they're gonna output somewhere else, through different means, drinking, smoking, and going out to the parties, going out to clubs, and or venting to their friends and stuff like that. But I've decided this is where I want it to be, and so that it doesn't overflow somewhere else. When I say overflow, I mean like spill over, and it's like it's just like a outburst, like a huge outburst of like, la, 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 she never does this and this that, which I've had before. Some of my friends have done it, and then, like I remember one of my friends did it, and he was going through stuff, and he just went through it and just had a big outburst, and like we recorded it, we recorded it as like, at first it started off as a joke, and then realized that, right, this guy's actually going through something, and he went through it, and then after he saw the video, he's like, nah, delete it. I was like, nah, man, you have to do something about this. Like you feel a certain way, you have to do something about it. So
so besides that, because you told me that we had a conversation about it, and you told me one of the ways that I can best support you is to create that safe space for you to speak to me. But generally, like for women, how can we as women support you as a man? How and this is like generally, I know like our relationship, we have our own dynamic, but how can we best support a man in a way that he can bring his emotions to the table? Because we've already established that you have to be emotional at some point. Not overly, but you have to be able to express yourself and express your emotions. And how can a woman best support us? Because I know practically what it looks like in our relationship is just being quiet and allowing you to speak.
I think, and it goes both ways. I think learning about each other is very important, and not expecting everyone to be like you.
Right.
I think some of the reasons why men get frustrated with women is because women are not like men. And some of the reasons why women get frustrated with men is because men are not like women. So it's like, why doesn't he talk? Why doesn't he express himself? Just because you do it doesn't mean that we're wired to do it as well. It's like, why does she talk so much? Why is he always arguing? Why is she so sensitive? That's how they're wired. So you have to understand that we're different.
Men and women are different.
We are totally different. And except for that, even with the different types of men. There are phlegmatics. There's the ones that are
the
really
temperaments.
open. Are all different. So you have to understand. That way you can love your husband the way they love, rather than loving your husband the way they are. So for me personally, like we've gone through the whole our love languages and stuff like that. We've spoken about all of those things. We know what we love. And we communicate how we feel. If your love language changes, then you can just say, "Oh, I feel like it's changing." So I think one of the ways that you can really, really help is to know
each other,
them, and understand that, okay, they're not the best at speaking. Understand that, even though they say things that might hurt, they don't mean it in a malicious way. They do love you, they do care about you, There's certain things that you can take out of it when you think like that and just say, okay, cool. Like,
yeah, I think that's actually been one of the beauty for us in our relationship, is that I've from scratch, I embraced you for who you were.
Yeah.
I never ever wanted to change who you are, because I know like people have an idea of like a typical man, and a man is supposed to look a certain way and be a certain way. That's all just an unrealistic expectation of like, you know, a relationship, because I always say that relationships are unique to you.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
The way we relate is not going to be the same way that other couples relate. And I don't expect that you would place that label or that expectation on me and ask me to be a certain type of way.
Yeah.
So I've really embraced and appreciated who you are and not tried to change you. I mean, there's certain aspects, like, of course, like you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses where we both work on, but what's really, really made us happy and not even envious of like other relationships, and not felt like, you know, we're missing out or we're lacking, is because we've accepted this is us, and this is how we are, and we love each other the way we are.
Exactly.
Regardless of what other relationships look like. Like, that's them. Let them do what works for them. But we try to do what works for us, and that's been the beauty of our relationship.
And I think that's the downfall for a lot of relationships as well, trying to do things the way you see on Instagram. You know, like, I know a lot of guys that are going through it because, you know, some ladies want the comparison. The comparison comes through it, and you know they want it like, you know, there's some men that are really, really what's the temperament that's like really open and really outgoing and choleric. And you know, those are the ones that you see on social media.
Yeah,
choleric guys.
I think that's what they call like the alpha male.
And they're out there and they're jumping.
Yeah,
and I'm not that type of guy.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? You're not gonna see me on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the podcasts. I like to sit down. I like to talk. I like to have conversation.
Chill, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not the one to. Maybe we'll do a challenge one day.
We would.
Yeah. But yeah, so
yeah,
we're not the type of people to just be out there all the time, and you know, just like, so. What we learn about each other is that we're not like everyone else, and some guys are suffering because they feel like
they have to be a certain way.
They feel like they have to be a certain way, or a woman has not accepted them because
they're not a certain way,
boring and stuff like that, because they want someone like the guys who are on Instagram. For you know, those guys are. They having to put on a brave face for it to happen as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can genuinely say I'm enjoying doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, like I can genuinely say it. I'm not saying that I'm not doing it because my wife has said, you're too boring, like you have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like one of the things is just knowing how each other communicates, knowing how each other are.
Yeah.
And it helps you, you know, open up and say like, look, he understands me.
Yeah.
You know, and if I am to speak out, she's not going to judge me for the way I sound because she understands that's how I.
And you know what? I also think like that's also a check for you. Maybe if you're a woman and you realize that maybe you're with someone and you don't like the way they are, maybe it's a self-check. Like, you actually don't like being with this type of guy. And it's okay to amicably end the relationship and be with the type of person that you want to be, instead of finding someone and trying to change them into another type of guy. It's just an unnecessary stress that you put yourself through. But practically what you've I can say that one of the ways that you've best supported and what this looks like practically in our marriage, you've best supported my mental health is like things practically like helping out at home. Yeah. 'Cause I know maybe, you know, people might have a different notion about it, but I think we're getting into a generation where men are more present in the house and more hands-on. Like, you see a lot more active fathers now. You see fathers, you know, taking their kids out and helping at home and doing the things that during our parents' time was just the woman's job.
Like even things like pushing the pram, like you didn't see it often.
You didn't used to see it back in the day, but now you see men like proudly,
like even carrying the baby and stuff like that. Now it's like you see some dads with like the strap and the babies inside and stuff like that. I think it's cool. I think
it's really it helps create a very good environment and healthy environment for your emotional and mental well-being because you don't have to take up take up on all of those tasks. And my heart goes out to women who have had to wear both hats, who have had to be both like, take the role of like the provider or what the man was supposed to be, and also be present as a woman. I have empathy towards them. I also think that what would go a long way to help your mental health is to find a way, like, are there people in your community that can represent that? So for example, you don't have your baby's dad is not present. Is there any other person in your community or your space that can I'm not saying that they can take up a role of a father, but can support in a way that you don't have to wear all these hats, because it sometimes does impact your mental health as a woman and as a mother of how many kids. It really does impact. So I think finding good resources around you, seeking external help, it goes a long way to help your mental well-being.
What do you think can be one of the main triggers for women to get them into a place where it's like, it starts a downward like spiral, going to
some people
depression
don't even,
or a bad mental state.
And I don't want to sound like super spiritual, but I think some people don't realize that it's a generational thing.
What do you mean?
So sometimes there's been a record of your parents parented you a certain way. Your parents parented your parents a certain way. And subconsciously, you don't realize that it trickles down to your family. So I think it's noticing like these bad patterns and noticing that maybe it's something that I saw with my mother. Maybe my mother was always angry. And the way she parented us, it wasn't with much love. It was just with like always a harsh tone and a strict tone. And it's like, you need to do this, and these unnecessary expectations. And maybe it was out of the failure that she had in her marriage, where her husband wasn't there to support her in a way that they could parent me properly. Sometimes it's having that self-check and realizing, is this a bad pattern in my family that has run down to me? And is that what's causing me to act a certain type of way in my relationship? Because that's all I've seen. I know, like, there's a pastor that gave a testimony, actually a pastor's wife that gave a testimony. And she said when she went into her marriage, she was always shouting. And she never saw anything wrong with it. Because
what do you mean shouting? Like shouting at him?
Yeah. Like if she's not happy about something, she would shout. And she said she didn't even realize she was doing something wrong, because in her home and the way she was raised, her parents were always shouting. So she thought it was a normal thing. On the contrary, with her husband, he came from a very quiet home. He came from a home where, people don't shout. People don't raise their voice. They're very cool, calm, and collected. And she realized it wasn't until her husband drew her attention to it, that she realized that, I'm actually doing the exact same things that my parents did that led to the failure of their marriage. So sometimes I think these triggers are like your inability to notice that these are toxic traits that have been passed on from your upbringing.
I think another one will probably be, especially for guys that I speak to in churches, lack of progress.
Is what?
Lack of progress. When they don't see progress in their lives, when they don't see progress in their marriage, when they don't see progress within themselves in terms of their jobs or whatever. I think that alone, it makes you feel like a failure. You just like
it's like, where's my life headed?
What am I doing with my life? Because I feel like a man having a sense of progress and moving forward,
a sense of like achievement and accomplishment,
not even just like achievement, because you can achieve something and then go back downhill, but just the sense of moving forward. There's I know some football players that have they accomplished what they wanted to do. They're doing so well, they're happy, but they go into depression after they quit football, but mainly because all of a sudden it's like their sense of, okay, cool, like I've done this, I'm doing this, and I'm going to another team and I'm doing this, all of those things have gone downhill. But so
I think there's one instance, I want to give an example, and there's one instance where we have, maybe I'll give one example and then you also give your example of when we have been, like, we've been struggling with our mental health, and how we practically supported in that moment.
Yeah.
Like when you knew that you were struggling in your mind. I can recall, okay, even this is not me, because I don't know, the example that comes to mind is I think you were in a phase, I should be talking about mine, but now that I've switched it, you might as well just talk about me. But there was a phase where I think you were just going through a lot, in terms of ministry, in terms of career, in terms of the home.
Yeah.
And everything was so overwhelming. I remember that season of our life was so, so hard and so difficult. And I could see it weighing down on you so much. And I remember we had a few conversations. And there was one day we were sitting in the car in a car park. Do you remember?
Yeah.
In a car park. And it was almost like I felt there was a strong responsibility on me to speak life into you at that moment. And I remember holding your hand and speaking life into you. Even at the end, I prayed. I prayed for you because I knew that you were at your lowest, and there was only so much that you could do to help yourself at the time.
Yeah.
And I just had to put on that hat and say, you know what? I'm going to make it my responsibility to help you come out of that. I remember looking in your face for a while, and I was just like really just speaking life into you because I knew that you were going through so much.
Yeah, I remember that.
You were going through so much, and just praying for you. And for me, from that moment, I think that's where we decided, you know what, we're going to pick up from here, and it's going to be an upward rise.
And it has been.
It has been.
It has been absolutely amazing. I think some people have been surprised. No one thought
it has been.
Okay, maybe not no one, but a lot of people didn't think that it would be this good. And even sometimes I'm surprised, like when I see ministry and everything going on, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing.
God's been very good and gracious to us.
Mine one that I keep an eye on for you personally is after you've given birth.
My hormones be all over the place.
Oh my days!
Pardon me.
It's not even just the hormones thing. It's just I just have to be very sensitive.
Yeah.
I just have to be very sensitive in what I say, what I do, and how I act, and help out as much as I can. Especially because
you know physically,
you are someone who enjoys working. You're someone who enjoys going out and being being up and going and feel like you're moving forward. And then all of a sudden you're standing still and you're looking after the baby. And then I really have to be sensitive because all of a sudden it's like progress. And
then I feel like
pregnancy, and then it's like a standstill, and it's like repetitive, monotonous, looking after the baby, same kind of thing. And then I have to be sensitive enough to say, okay, cool, what can I do to help? How can I help? How can I make it? And I mean, like, secularly to say it, like, it's what, like post
some people as postpartum. What is it called? Postpartum. Postpartum. No, postpartum depression. They say
someone's gonna correct you in the comments.
No, postpartum depression, and I think actually, well, I just like from what I know scientifically, they do say like your hormones levels drop significantly after having children, and sometimes that's where some women enter a state of depression. But you've been very supportive.
I try.
So supportive that I've never felt. I don't think I've struggled with postpartum depression because I've got good support.
It's just a thing of, okay, cool, like, how can I help? What can I do? Like, she's sleeping, she's tired, and that's not her fault. Like, do the house chores, clean up everything, make sure everything's
I even remember there was a day where I had been home all day with all the girls, and I was just like struggling mentally because I'm usually like on the go and like I like to do things actively. I remember when you came home from work, the first thing I said to you, like, babe, I'm struggling. I need to get out of the house. And it didn't, I value that so much because it didn't even matter how long of a day you had at work.
Yeah.
Because you came home quite late. Yeah. And you were like, it's okay, leave the girls with me. And I remember I just decided to go to the shopping center. I went to have a meal by myself, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I went out.
Man, I need to do that for myself one day, man.
I just went to have a meal. But like, I just literally went to stay in a restaurant by myself, went to eat, and then came back. And I was like, that was very necessary for my mental well-being because I was struggling the whole day.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a good time. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
yeah.
Not everything to do with mental health. I'm sure that there's a lot,
but how we've supported each other.
There's too much to talk about in just one podcast. But as much as we can support, if there's anything, if there's anything, we want to build a community in this podcast of people who are willing to help each other. If there's anyone in the comments that's struggling, there should be someone out there to help them out. Anyone, anywhere, they can just help each other and support each other as a family. And just, this is an open space. It's a place for you to realize that you're not the only one going through it, and you're not the only one who's been through it.
We all go through it.
We all go through it. Even as pastors, sometimes Elijah in the Bible went through it. He was even suicidal at one point. He was like, God, just kill me for that. That's a powerful thing to say. For someone who can tell God to call fire from heaven and God obeys that, for you to say that God kill me, it's a very powerful thing to say. That must be a strong,
everyone goes through it.
Strong suicidal spirit kind of thing. So
do get help. Get help. If you need to go therapy, please do go therapy. It's not demonic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speak to someone. Let someone know. Try and speak to your pastor first. Yeah. That's what I always recommend, so that you can get some godly help. Yeah. And help godly advice. Let him know if you're going to therapy and like anything like that. Get some advice and everything, and move forward with that. But we're always here to support and help if you need anything else. And if you need anything else, just message us. Through Instagram.
Happy to help whenever and wherever we can. So God bless you guys.
Take care, everyone.
Have a great week.
Love you all.
That's all we have for today. Bye.
Bye.